That bench atop the ocean of free-form waves of mission folk, a pacing highway up and down, dreamful skyline afar, textural realities up close to touch, a Yoda-like friend living just across, elongated fights for parking spaces just behind. A sanctuary of the highest order for me, for years, never the same, but always to feel sane.
And I wrote about my experience with feelings. As I stood there staring off into space, I noticed an elderly man circling repeatedly around the island of cash registers. He would occasionally look down at the shelves, but usually just kept his head tilted slightly above its natural lilt upward, as he would pause every few minutes and mumble incoherently to himself. While I observed his behavior, I noticed that another man was repeatedly pouring himself cups of coffee. "One free cup," the sign said. I thought, how thirsty can this guy be? As he marched back and forth to the front patio directly outside me. When I was working at a natural food club kind of thing in Southern California. You guys, this is Ian, and he made a fabulous video about Feast of Words that features innovation. And some of you who are in this room who were past Feast of Words guests, you can check it out on our YouTube channel as well as other fabulous things Ian makes.
I'm Ian. Harold's Cafe. Harold's the ice cream, but this was a separate place. Darcy only dated bassists. Ian tagged the streets as Ian's Sanity. Justin was a terrible rapper. John was a little better, but always really stoned. I always got the breakfast burrito, the best I've ever had. Something in the chili recipe. Incidentally, the pancakes were the best ever also. Which is funny if you see the place because nobody inside ever seemed to give a shit, like complain about their work or even mention it. They talked about their music and art and movies and stuff. So I went there for 2 years and listened to their music and then talk. And they really loved music and they never cared who I was because I wasn't their type. And they made the best breakfast in the city. Then they were shut down and all the punks are somewhere else now and people here are way too friendly and I miss the burritos.
I'm Alexa. I was very clearly influenced by tonight's reading. My memories were jogged, and I hope I can remember writing. I identify as someone who has commitment issues, particularly to places. My first thought on where I was a regular at is always how many jobs I've had. I don't do leisure all that well. I need a purpose, like shelving books. My first job was also at a bookstore. I was underage, but the manager made an exception because I knew somebody. The funny thing was, I was horrible at quickly referencing the order of the alphabet. I was an avid reader at 15, practically antisocial, but quickly knowing what the J's were on the shelf was basically trigonometry to me. I was a slow shelver. I wasn't much better with microfiche on the Apple Computer from 1995. What I was good at, though, was catching thieves. Or so I thought he put some young adult fiction of his baggy sweatshirt. I also caught a thief at the bank once. I also caught a thief at the bank once. Or maybe I ratted out an immigrant with a fake ID. Just trying to cash a check to feed his family. I was 16 then. I was finally of age, working as a bank teller, but B of A didn't train me in politics, surviving in LA as an immigrant.
I'm Jody. It's only like 15 pages. I hope you guys have a little time. Every morning I pass the 13 smoking Chinese dim sum chefs and plot the ways I could snap their photo without getting caught. They squat on milk crates, identical in their white hats and stained white aprons. My regret sets in as I enter the lobby elevator without a photograph, besides the perfect one in my mind. The chefs, like a line of greasy swans, squatting and smoking in a language I can't understand. I take the elevator up to the 5th floor, rummage around in my bottomless bag for my key card. Shit, where is it? I put the coffee down on the carpet in the hallway, balance my notebook and jacket and bike helmet on any available body surface, and sweep the interior of the purse like a border agent conducting a cavity search. Swipe, I'm in. The coffee is cold, it's yesterday's. I walk to my office and close the door, hang my jacket on the back of my swivel chair, press the little concave on button on my PC, and wait for the unmistakable sound of the electronic curtains opening on my computer. At least everything is regular here, I think, as I start my regular work day.
I'm a sailor. Sorry. I work at a bar of regulars. The regulars who push the door open when it's closed, don't pay. The regulars who expect me to remember their guests. I was there in 2003, and they were there in 2012. A couple of the regulars died while I was gone. I left in 2005, and in that 7 years, 3 or 4 of the regulars have died. One who used to push her crotch to my bent knee, another who gave me tickets to Antiques Roadshow when I died of lung cancer. Another, an old salsa singer, got sober and doesn't bring herself and her chihuahua around anymore. I lump all the regulars into a group of fast-talking cocaine users that speed in and out of my bar and into the bar next door. Or I think they're lonely and they have nowhere else to go. But really, this is their bar, their place. They'll be here, carrying on long after I'm gone.
My name is Rowena. Rolling out, slowly stretching up, sunlight peeking through in between my window blinds. My eyes slowly opened, barely awake. I got up, looking forward to a nice sunny Saturday morning. I changed to my comfy workout clothes, a shirt and stretch pants, walking out of my long, windy hallway, then stepping out into already bright sunny morning. I walked on Mission Street, turned on 24th, then stopped at the corner of 24th and Folsom. The smell is intoxicating. I'm hooked. Got in the line and the barista called. I'm ready for the next person in line. I walked over and said, small Turkish with plain soy milk, little sugar. Went over to the cashier and paid my tab. Then she called, small Turkish. I went over and slowly took a sip of a freshly made 1 cup at a time coffee. Way to start a Saturday morning and feels.
Hi, I'm Cassie. I'm just calling. I'm just going to reflect on what it was like for me. I can relate to that ghost returning to a place where I once worked. My first job was AAA. I needed to pay for my DMV license or get maps, and I would invariably run into coworkers that I had once worked with, and they'd walk up to me with wonderment in their eyes and marvel as if they were surprised that I was able to still survive. And they all seemed to, I didn't know if I was imagining it, they all had like a gray pallor. They looked very odd to me. They looked older and strange, but they look at me very strange. And the only thing that was fun for me is when I finally run into some of the salesmen that I used to work with that were always full of witty banter and pretty hysterical. So they'd save me from the gray people and just fill me with hysterical stories about who they'd be running into and what they'd be doing. And when I'd leave, I'd have a really good feeling. It was like going home again and enjoying family members.
It was a great little place. Lots of rickety little tables and 2 ancient leather couches. A few outlets so we could do our work, with everyone companionably sharing the plugs. The 3 larger tables could sit 4 or 5 people, so most often people would share, but nobody felt trapped or boxed in. One day, I asked to share a table with a toothless old man in a bright tie-dye t-shirt. I assumed he was homeless, but saw he was more than halfway done with his coffee, so I thought he wouldn't be there long. We smiled at each other and I began working. Pretty soon he finished his coffee and pulled out his brand new iPad. I was shocked. Where did he get that? But I couldn't ask. So I waited for my opportunity and finally, oh so casually asked him, so, how do you like that thing? He launched into a detailed explanation of all its features and critiqued it thoughtfully. He talked about all the places he'd been, and finally I had to ask, so what takes you to all these places? He said, I used to be a motorcycle rider, and now I write for a motorcycle magazine, and they pay me to go all these places. So at the end, exchanged names. I said, hi, I'm Ramona, nice to meet you. And he said, oh, let me give you my card. And I looked at it later, and it said, rodent.